Hi guys, Josh here. So I've been playing Harvestella quite a bit in the last few days. I'm really enjoying the game, but it is quite different from your typical farming sim, and I did make a few mistakes in my first month. So in this video, I would like to tell you some of the things that I learned in my playthrough so far, and hopefully these tips will make your experience a bit easier as you start playing Harvestella. The first mistake is not repairing the kitchen as soon as possible. If there is just one thing you need to remember from this whole video is that cooking in Harvestella is one of the most important things. It's not like in most farming games where you can just sleep to replenish your stamina or buy food at some restaurant. You do need to eat multiple times a day, otherwise your stamina won't go back up and you won't be able to do anything. For your first few days, you can eat mushrooms and berries, but these are not very nutritious. So I would recommend getting the fishing knowledge from the general store, which will allow you to fish. And fishing is a good way to make some money early, and try to get 2,000 guerrillas as early as possible in order to renovate the kitchen. It could be tempting to buy other things like weapon upgrades or pens for livestock, but cooking should be the priority. Also, once you start cooking, you will realize that you run out of ingredients very quickly. So my second mistake is not planting enough crops and not upgrading the farm soon enough. You won't have too much space in your field at first, so as soon as the doctor tells you about crafting, go to the north step to get some materials, craft the hammer, and then get rid of the small rocks on your field. It will take a while before you can get rid of the big ones, but make sure that the space that you do have, you use it and it is filled with as many crops as you can at all times. Otherwise, trust me, you will be starving. The renovator can also expand your farm, which will double the space you can use for farming. So I would recommend doing that upgrade as soon as you're done with the kitchen. After that, you will notice a big difference and it will become easier to have a lot of food. I would recommend keeping everything that you grow in storage, but if you notice that you start having some extras, then you can start selling them to get some extra money. However, make sure you do not sell everything. Always keep at least a few of every crop in your storage, especially those that only grow in 1 or 2 seasons out of the year. Pretty early, you will unlock the food delivery requests, and completing these requests will give you access to more recipes, but also a good amount of money. So if you don't want to have to wait a whole year before you're able to deliver a certain dish, which would delay the rewards you will get, make sure you always have all of the seasonal crops in your storage. Also, you might want to know that there are 30 days per month in Harvestella and everything will wilt in between seasons because of the quietus. So even if the description of a crop says it will grow during both spring and summer, for example, it will still die when the seasons transition. So just keep that in mind when you need to calculate if you have enough time to plant certain crops. So you will keep a lot of your crops for cooking. As I said, you can also sell some if you have too much. But be careful though, not all crops are good for selling, and this can be hard to know because the game doesn't tell you for how much something will sell. A mistake I did many times when I started playing was selling things that were just not worth it, or hoarding things I should have sold. For example, carob seeds will cost you 105 guerrillas at Leeds General Store, but will only sell for 115. So even though they grow in one day, they're not a really good way to make money. Similarly, dressed lettuce seeds cost 55 guerrillas, will sell for 85. So the profit is slightly higher, but considering that they take an extra day to grow, it's still not that much. Later on though, you will unlock more valuable crops such as the Moro corn or Nemean tomatoes among many others, but I wouldn't recommend growing carrots or lettuce for money. Also, in most farming games, processed items or dishes will usually sell for a higher price, but that is not the case in Harvestella. At least so far, every dish that I cooked sold for the exact same price as all of the individual ingredients combined. So considering that cooking takes time and doesn't increase the amount of money you would get, it is just not worth selling meals you cook. However, if that does change at any point in the game, who knows, maybe at the end there will be a very valuable dish, then I'll make sure to let you know. Also, while fighting monsters, you will get a ton of items, and it might be hard to figure out what is worth keeping and what is not. Well, that's why items have descriptions. Everything that says earns you money when shipped is safe to sell. Everything else I would recommend keeping as they will be useful one day or another unless you really just have too many. So if vegetables like carrots and dressed lettuce are not very useful outside of cooking, should you still grow a lot of them? Yes. After finishing chapter 2, you will unlock a book with quests or achievements, and one of the things you'll unlock for completing these is a recipe for the fermenting barrel, which is used to make juices. Cheaper vegetables are great to make juices, which will replenish your health, but not your hunger. At first, I didn't make too many juices because I was just wondering what's the point if I can just make some meals, which were more nutritious and also filled my hunger, so why would I need juice? Well, I found out the hard way during a difficult battle where I ate a few meals in a row, my stomach was full and I couldn't eat anymore. So, for example, if your hunger is at 76 and you try to eat a meal that satisfies your hunger by 25 points, well, you won't be able to eat it because the maximum is 100. Since juice does not affect your hunger, you can drink as much as you'd like and replenish your health in battle when you're too full to keep eating. So that's why I would recommend making a lot of juice and always carrying both food and juice on you. Around the time that you'll unlock the recipe for the fermenting barrel, you will also unlock the recipe for the feed maker. If you don't have any farm animals yet, you might be thinking you don't need it and just skip it, but don't. It takes one whole day for the level 1 feed maker to transform one crop into 4 feed, so it is best to start early if you want to have a good stock of food for when you finally have some animals. It's also a bit confusing at first because it looks like a lot of different things can be put into the feed maker, but here's how it works. If you put grain such as corn or wheat, you will get clothal feed, and clothals are the animals that will give you eggs. Both corn and wheat will give you the same amount of feed, so you should definitely use wheat unless you run out, because corn is a lot more valuable and could be used for other things. If you put vegetables or grass in the feed maker, vegetables can be things like carrots or dressed lettuce, then you will get woolum feed, and the woolums are the animals that give you milk. Similarly, no matter what you put in the maker, you will get the same amount, so I would recommend sticking to grass because that is the cheapest option. So to summarize, wheat for the egg animals and grass for the milk animals. As I said earlier now, I never go out without both juice and food in my inventory, but there were a few times when I forgot other things. As you explore dungeons, you'll often see bridges that need to be repaired with repair kits, or walls that need to be destroyed with bombs. So once you learn how to craft them, just make sure you always have a few of those on you if you don't want to spend your whole day just going back and forth because you forgot something at home. Days can feel short in Harvestella. Most dungeons will take a few days to complete, and once the clock hits midnight, it will show early hours and you won't have too much time before you pass out. If you do pass out, you will wake up at noon the next day, and on top of losing precious time, you will also have to pay a doctor fee. So to avoid that, make sure you always have some return bells in case you do need to get back home urgently. So now I try to never go out without juice, food, repair kits, bombs, and return bells. The next mistake is something that took me a while to realize, but do not eat late at night or before going to bed. It happened a few times when it was the evening and I was hungry, so I decided to eat a few meals just so I could keep fishing or doing other things. And I thought that some of my energy would just carry over to the next day, but it doesn't. No matter how much you ate the night before or at what time you went to bed, when you wake up, you will be starving with an empty stomach. So of course, it depends on what you're trying to do, but if you eat a big meal just to catch 1 or 2 fish before going to bed, it might not be worth it, so you might want to either just go to sleep straight away, or you might want to consider a lighter snack such as cool berries, or if you also need to replenish your HP, eggs and milk are good options. Speaking of cool berries, don't forget to pick up the forageable items on your farm every day. Near your house, you will find spots where you can find berries, mushrooms, lumber, stones, and other useful materials. 2 of these are near your house, and there are 2 more near the waterside biome, and 2 more near the hilltop. Just take some time to explore your farm, and once you're able to activate the Motus Monolith, which requires you to make a bit of progress in the main story, you will be able to teleport instantly between all of them. If you go south of your farm, there's also a second area with a ton of things you can forage, so make sure to go there. If you pick all of these up every morning as part of your routine, you will have tons of berries, mushrooms, and other useful things. The next mistake is rushing through dungeons and not taking the time to explore. With all the quests, side quests, which I recommend doing by the way, they will give you lots of money and seeds. But with all of these things to do, it might be tempting sometimes to just go straight to your destination. But make sure to take a look at every path and every corner and even go back to previous dungeons after unlocking, let's say, a higher level bomb or a higher level repair kit, as it might give you access to new areas. If you look around, you will find a lot of chests which can contain valuable items, but sometimes you'll also find Conellu Dolls. Once you reach the town of Chatola, go to the mystery store between 8 AM and 8 PM, and the merchant there will trade your dolls for special rewards, the first one being a crafting recipe for this green arched fence. Who knows what he might give you next? Actually, I have no idea, but when I figure it out, I'll probably make a video about it. And while we're in Châteaulat, the next mistake is buying all of your seeds in Leith, the town near your farm, because each town will carry a few unique seeds. Some of the seeds are also the same from one town to the other. However, if you pay close attention, you will see that some prices for the same seeds will vary. For example, Mora corn seeds in Châteaulat will sell for 200 grillas instead of 230, and carob seeds in Nemea will sell for 95 grillas instead of 105. So if you're planning to buy a lot of seeds, it might be worth taking the time to go there and save some money. For me, what I did is I took a screenshot with my Switch in all of the stores. So if I'm not sure what is available where and how much it costs, I can just take a quick look at my screenshots and then I can decide where to go shopping. Lastly, this tip might sound silly to some people, but it is something I completely forgot about at one point. So I'm guessing I'm probably not the only one, but make sure you don't forget to allocate your job points. Every time you fight using a certain job, you will gain points, and these will allow you to get new skills with different attributes or even abilities like Step, which allows you to easily dodge enemy attacks. I once played for hours and hours and I was struggling quite a bit during combat. It was getting difficult until I realized I had not used any of my job points in such a long time, and after I did, it made a huge difference. The game also shows you this green dot in the menu to let you know that you can level up some things, so it should be obvious, but I still made that mistake, so I wanted to let you know. And that's pretty much it. Did you learn anything new? Do you have any tips that I did not include in this video? Feel free to share them with everyone in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe for more Harvestella content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.